Labs, I have been working on investigating the impact of social belonging on undergraduate organic chemistry students. So, what is social belonging? Well, it's feelings of connection, it's your ability to make meaningful connections, and it is a sense of social inclusion that you have within a little group. And so where did it originate? Well, you see this pyramid here, this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So these are the different needs that you have to fulfill before you can be fully motivated, and it's this yellow one right here in the middle. And so that's like very important. But you guys are a bunch of chemists or biologists and scientists. Why am I telling you about this? Well, actually, it's really important in the classroom. So take, for instance, this group here. This is Gen Chem 1. We have some students in green. They're all happy. They feel like they belong. Some of them are in pyramid team learning. Maybe they're in a study group together. This one guy down here, he has a couple of friends in the class. But this red student, he's a little bit older than the other students. This other person, maybe they're a humanities major. This person here, they work a job. They don't have the extra time to go and meet with people in class. So when it comes time to sign up for Gen Chem 2, some people are dropped. And we found that social belonging predicts this attrition, and that even in spite of how they're performing in the class, these students are still not continuing on. And so if social belonging is so important, how do we measure something like this? It's not like concentration. Well, what we do is we use surveys. So this is our survey for social belonging. So we have 6 questions here, and I asked it to an organic chemistry 2 class. So we asked, do you feel like you fit in? Do you feel comfortable with your peers, your classmates, your instructors? Setting aside your performance in class, do you feel like you belong? Do you feel uncertain about your belonging? When you don't perform well, do you feel like you don't belong? And so we asked them to rate on a scale of 1, meaning strongly disagree, 6 meaning they strongly agree, so we asked them 1 to 6. And then we also obtained information about their race and ethnicity, their binary sex, their academic preparation, and their first generation status. So there's a little bit of a hitch with the academic preparation in this presentation because we hadn't received it yet at the time of doing this, so some of these results will change once we include that in our analysis. So once we have these questions, we have all the people answer it, well, we have to make sure that our instrument, the survey, is reliable. So you would think, yeah, right on, so 6 questions to go with social belonging. No, they don't. It's actually 2 different constructs. So we have sense of belonging, which is feelings of connection and inclusion, and we have belonging uncertainty, which is how much your belonging is fluctuating. So like say you come in on Monday and you feel like on top of the world, but after the exam you feel like bottom of the pit, like you do not feel good about this class anymore. That's really important for your ability to go for your attention and your exam performance, at least in Gen Chem. And so once we have all this, we look into the data and we look for our research questions. So our questions here in this presentation is, does course level social belonging predict student performance in an organic chemistry 2 course? And does course level social belonging differ among various demographic groups in an organic chemistry 2 course? Okay, so with these questions, what kind of data do you look at? Well, I ran a bunch of regressions, and so what that means is we get a table that looks like this, and this is kind of scary at first. But I'm gonna walk this slowly, don't worry, we're gonna go through this together. So what is a regression? You know when you have a set of data and you're trying to find the line of best fit, like a straight line that fits this? Well, we're doing something very, very similar. So that has like a y equals mx plus b, where a dependent variable is impacted by independent variables. But we have multiple independent variables. And so we have these. We have belonging, uncertainty, which are pulled from the survey that I showed you the 6 questions. We have if you're female, first generation, if you're Asian versus BIPOC, and Asian versus white. And we use Asian as our comparison because they are the students who are most on level for their sense of belonging. They are the most average set. And so we're looking to see how these different independent factors here are impacting the final course grade. And why is there a yellow one? Why is there a purple one? Well, we have to run belonging and uncertainty separately because they do have a relationship. They're somewhat negatively correlated. And so while this does make sense, we want to run them separately so we're not getting mixed data and results from that. So, well, what's significant? This is a lot of numbers. Well, we want to check out the p-value. So we want to make sure that the p-value is less than 0.05. And what this would indicate is that with a 95% confidence interval, that these coefficients here are not going to be 0, and that they're likely to be the numbers that we're seeing here. And so the ones that are significant, we have belonging, uncertainty, and first generation status. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, if you have a sense of belonging that is 1 standard deviation above the average sense of belonging for the class, then you do about 4.73 points better on your final course grade, just overall in the course, just based on belonging. For uncertainty, if you have an uncertainty above the average by 1 standard deviation, you do about 5 points worse. If you're a first generation student, if you just are a first generation student, you do about 67 points worse than your non-first generation counterparts, which is crazy. That's like pretty significant. Like, you don't want to see that in your classes. So I look at a lot of tables like this, and I don't want to show you all of them, and I don't want to walk through all of them, so I'm just going to give you some of our key findings. So we found that final course grade is significantly impacted by first generation status, your early semester sense of belonging, and your early semester belonging uncertainty. And we've also found in a different table that women have a lower sense of belonging and a higher belonging uncertainty than men on average. And that's terrible. We don't want that. We want people to have a high sense of belonging. We want them to feel like they belong in the class because it impacts their performance. And we want it to be a low belonging uncertainty because we don't want it to be wavering because that also impacts how they are doing in these courses. And so we also found within these tables that race and first generation status were insignificant. Woohoo, that's good. So in the future, we would like to incorporate these academic preparation variables because they will have an impact and it will probably have these results just like slim down just a little bit. And we also want to investigate the interactions between these different demographic groups. So like how does sex and race like play together? Like how they might impact your final course grade or your final exam grade or something. And overall, the point of ChemEd is just to bring this information back to the instructors, back to the course. How can we improve things? How can we make things better for the students that are gonna, you people, all these people who are here listening to me talk. I would like to thank the FRIWA for including me in their group this summer, the National Science Foundation, as well as the University of Utah's Chemistry REU. Do we have any questions?